So we all know Tesla released the new Model Y at the beginning of this year with some pretty nice upgrades. Nothing revolutionary, not a huge change to the car, but the exterior looked nicer. It was more comfortable, a better suspension, and some other really nice features. Well, a couple of months ago, Tesla teased the Model Y L, or large or long or whatever you want to call it, that shows a new badge and is going to be a 6-seat configuration. But at that time, Tesla didn't tell us a whole lot about this new Model Y that was coming to China. We knew it had a longer wheelbase, the car overall was going to be longer, and that it had 6 seats. And a lot of people were speculating that the roof was flatter, which we're going to talk about later, which is going to be huge. But now we have a lot more details on, honestly, this amazing looking new and improved Model Y. So the biggest vehicle segment by far that Tesla is missing right now is the large boxy SUV. Now, there was really nothing in the EV space for this until a couple of years ago. We got the Rivian R1S, which when I saw in person was actually a bit smaller than I thought it was from the pictures, although it's still a very nice vehicle. Now, of course, you have the Escalade. You have probably the Kia EV9 is probably the front runner in this category just because of its very large size and its lower price point. And there might be one or two more out there, but those are kind of the main players right now. Well, Tesla is still missing out on this category, unfortunately, although I think by the end of the year, we may see something from them. Elon made this post on X where he talked about a cool demo coming by the end of the year, and myself and many others were just kind of assuming, oh, Roadster, they're finally going to show us the final version of the Roadster. But the more I think about it, looking at Cybertruck sales that are not doing so great, maybe Tesla has found a way to adapt that Cybertruck line over to a bigger boxy SUV that the market really loves. One of the most popular vehicles you can buy in the United States. But right now we're talking about the new Model Y L and all of the new improvements that are coming to it. And I think this is going to be really awesome. So let's start with the second row and look at what improvements we now know are coming to this Model Y L. And I got to be honest, I'm getting a little bit of FOMO. This thing looks awesome. If this was an option when I was picking up my new 2026 Model Y, I 100% would have opted for this on top of what I got, but that's all right. So in the second row, of course, we have captain's chairs. It is a 6-seater, so you got a 2-2-2 configuration. And this is my favorite vehicle configuration. We had this in our 6-seater Model S and we absolutely loved it. With 2 kids, it's kind of the perfect setup. You have the 2 adults in the front, the 2 kids right behind there. Then they have plenty of space and room and it's very comfortable. You can store stuff in between them, or you can easily access, of course, the third row because the middle is open. Now, in between these 2 seats, there is a small open area, but the new Model Y L is not really any wider than the old one. So that width is probably not going to be huge. Again, for kids, it'll be no problem. Or for smaller adults, they should not have a problem getting through here, but it's not going to be a big, huge open middle area. On top of that, each of these captain's chairs in the second row are getting a possibly powered armrest. It looks like it may be powered, but it could be a spring mechanism as well, where you can kind of click it in and out of place. So we'll see for sure exactly what that is, but functionally, that's going to work the same way either way. And it's very nice to see this, something that even the Model X doesn't have. And we're going to continue seeing this theme throughout the Model Y L, where you're seeing things that are just so nice, little kind of extra comfort features or extra additions that the Model X doesn't have. And so you kind of scratch your head like, wow, the Model X is like double the price, maybe not quite double the price of this bigger Model Y version, but significantly more expensive and going to be missing some of these just smaller features that make a more complete package. Model X also used to have a customizable kind of middle configuration where in the 6-seater you could get this kind of center console thingy. It was a huge square you could put in the middle to have like a little table. I always thought it was silly because I want access to that third row more easily, but it was something you could add. Maybe Tesla will give us something to put in between there just for additional options, but most likely it's just going to be an open space. Now the second row also folds flat, which is awesome. Most people want this, and a lot of vehicles with this configuration do have this, don't get me wrong. But again, looking at the Model X, if you get the 6-seater, that second row does not fold flat. So you're losing a lot of potential cargo capacity versus the 7-seater Model X, which does have a full flat folding option for all the seats. So with the Model Y L, you're getting kind of the best of everything. You're having extra seats, you have extra room for your passengers, and if you need to move something really big, you can fold all those seats flat, and you'll have way more cargo capacity in that configuration. In addition to that, we are getting air vents on the side pillars in this row. In my experience, it's not really that necessary. The air vents that we have now in our 2026 and also 2023 Model Y that are in the middle are sufficient. My kids never complain if they're hot or cold or whatever. I can adjust the temperature for them and they can move the fans around, or I can move the fans around, and then they're happy. So it hasn't been an issue, but it's nice to see this additional ventilation. Now, when you are moving those seats up and down for your cargo capacity, or when you're done storing things and you want to put some passengers in there, they're all all powered. So just like the new 2026 Model Y, where the rear seats are power up and down, you can just push a button and they'll move all the way up or all the way down for you. All 4 of the rear seats are going to do that for you, which is just great. Now moving into the third row, these are also powered seats, so they'll have buttons so you can power them up and down. Right now, we own a 2023 Tesla Model Y that has the 7-seat configuration, and we don't use it that often, but when we do, it is nice to have those additional rear seats, especially again for our kids. Adults don't really want to sit back there, and even for the kids, there's not a ton of room, but again, it's an option we added because there are a couple of times where we need to just fit another kid or 2 in there, and it has come in handy the few times we've used it. Very happy to have the option, but I know a lot of people look at it and go, whoa, that is way too cramped. No way I'm going to get that. Now, one of the biggest negatives of our 7-seat Model Y is there are no air vents in those rear seats. And for short trips or whatever, it hasn't been a big deal. And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll put the middle seat in the middle row down so that there is a little more ventilation going back there. But in this new Model Y L, there are pillar vents in the back as well. So this is something where people could actually be back there for road trips for long extended periods of time and still be comfortable. They have cup holders, which our 7-seater has cup holders and USB-C ports back there too. It is actually pretty nice. But this new Model Y L version is going to be even better. You'll have cup holders, you'll have USB-C ports for charging your devices, you'll have powered seats, you'll have vents. You're going to have pretty much everything you need. Now, probably the biggest improvement of this whole thing, remember what I was talking about earlier with the boxy SUV shape? The problem with Tesla's third row options, the Model X or the 7-seater Model Y, is that the teardrop shape of the vehicle, the way it just very aggressively tapers down at the end, is great for aerodynamics, but it's really bad for either cargo capacity or your guest's headroom or whatever's going on back there. And so you lose a lot of capacity because this thing drops off so quickly. And it's looking like the new Model Y L is not going to drop off so aggressively. And we're going to have a more flat roof that goes more towards the back before it starts to drop off. This is going to be huge for headroom. It's also going to be great for just storing things in the trunk or whatever you need. But overall, for sure, I think the main idea here is that for passengers, whoever's sitting back there for headroom is going to be vastly improved. This is going to be probably one of the biggest advantages of this new vehicle that doesn't seem like a big deal. Like, you don't look at the vehicle and go, whoa, look how differently the roof is shaped. But when you sit back there, I can only imagine it is going to feel so much better than maybe even the back row of a standard Tesla Model Y. It's going to be way better than the back row of a Tesla Model X in the third row. And it will be even more significantly better than the 7-seat Tesla Model Y, of course, because not only is the vehicle longer overall, the roof is not going to drop off until it gets more behind your head when you're sitting in the back. Some other nice improvements. There's a new white, like kind of goldish color that some pictures have leaked. Looks pretty nice. There is also a black headliner. This is another huge thing that you may not think much about until you get in there and sit in there. It is such a better experience. It's more premium feeling and looking. And of course, this is subjective. Some people will not enjoy it. But in my experience, we had the Tesla Cybertruck where the whole interior is black. And then you get into even like a Model X Plaid or whatever, fancy car you want to get into. When everything is that kind of white, lighter color, it's just not as nice. It doesn't feel as good. It's not as premium. The black looks so much nicer. And I wish this was an option on all Tesla vehicles. I'm kind of guessing that we'll get this Model Y L out, and eventually, as you see with a lot of Tesla improvements, this change is going to make its way throughout the different Tesla vehicles, perhaps, maybe, and we'll get this improvement on a bunch of different vehicles because it makes the experience feel so much better. And not only do the rear seats have improvements, the front seats actually have improvements as well. The front seats get new adjustable headrests. So this is something I know a lot of people complain about in their Teslas. You have this kind of weird headrest that kind of juts forward like this, and it hasn't been a problem for me with whatever way I sit. I don't notice it too much, but if it was a problem, there's really nothing I could do about it anyway, because Tesla has not really had adjustable headrests in the front seats. There's, I think, like 1 or 2 examples throughout the history of Tesla, but for the most part, you're not adjusting the headrests in your Tesla. Well, now in this Model Y L, it kind of looks like the performance variant of the seats in like the new Model 3, and you can take that little thing that's sticking out and it looks like there's buttons on the side and you can slide that up and down to make it more comfortable for yourself. I know Tesla has mentioned in the past the reason they make the seats like this is for safety. It is by far the safest way they could make them, and they didn't want to compromise safety by adding that adjustability. Well, it looks like now they probably got the best of both worlds. We're still going to have that top Tesla safety comfy out of that seat, but you'll also be able to make it a little bit more comfortable. And then another small but huge, in my opinion, upgrade here is going to be thigh extensions in the front seats. I don't know if it's just me, but whenever I get in any vehicle, it doesn't matter what, the first thing I do, if it's adjustable, which it's slightly adjustable in current Teslas, is make that thigh support in the front go all the way up. I want that thing hold my legs up as much as it can, especially using FSD when you don't have to be moving around too much with the pedals up front or touching the pedals at all. Having that support makes sitting, especially for long durations like on a road trip, way more comfortable. And I am greatly jealous of this feature in this new Model YL. I really hope this comes to all Tesla vehicles, or at least the more premium Tesla vehicles, and maybe even becomes a retrofit option. I know Tesla lets you swap out the performance seats in some of their vehicles. If you want the performance seats, you can get those if you don't have them yet. So you never know if you'll be able to buy a seat from Tesla. I'm sure it would be ungodly expensive, but bring that seat in with the new adjustable headrest and the adjustable thigh support, and then have that feature in your older Tesla. These improvements are awesome. I am very excited to see everything about this vehicle once Tesla fully reveals it. These were mostly some little leaks and stuff. Now, there is no indication right now that the Model YL is coming to the US, but there's no indication that it's not. So I am pretty convinced that we are going to see this vehicle in the United States eventually. Maybe it'll be the end of the year, or maybe it'll be in January. Usually China gets these new vehicles. I don't know why. You know, it used to be that they had the latest factory over there, but now we have Giga Texas. So I don't know why like Texas doesn't produce these first, but for whatever the reason is, usually China gets these new vehicles and then it's somewhere in the 2 to 3 month range that they show up over here in the United States. The other weird thing is the tax credits and stuff. That's ending soon. So if you want a Tesla, you better, think about if you need the tax credit or want to use that or take advantage of that or whatever. And vehicle pricing and all of this is going to get kind of weird in the next few months. And the other aspect here is I think that Tesla is trying to make more premium Model Y so that they can release this cheaper version, whatever it's going to be, if it's even a shorter Model Y or it's just a stripped out Model Y where you have maybe cloth seats and, no glass roof and you don't have the ventilation and, whatever else they strip out, you don't have the rear screen, whatever they strip out to make these vehicles cheaper, they're trying to more differentiate that. So they're going to have a lower cost, like say maybe a $30,000 Model Y kind of thing, and then they're going to have this more premium Model YL. So it's like you can get the lower cost one, you don't get much, or you can step it up, you can pay all this money. We know there's not a tax credit, but look at all this cool stuff you get with it. I look forward to your opinions on this Model YL. For me, I think it's awesome. I wish I could pick it up, probably not going to, but I can dream about it. So I will talk to you down in the comments, and you will see me in the next video.